Hello English Workshop. This is our second weekly feedback video. I'm just going to be talking about the vocabulary work that we had this week, just to leave some certain points clear with you. So, one of the quizzes that we had on vocabulary talked about movies. So let's look at some words from that. So, number one for the quiz said, the movie had a lot of plot, and then our options are circles or twists. Now, typically, the expression is plot twists because they are unexpected developments in the story. If they were circles, it wouldn't necessarily be so much unexpected. So, because it's something unexpected, the expression is plot twists. So, let's look at something else. A film is a movie which has a mood of pessimism, fatalism, and menace. And the options that we have is noir or black. So, black kind of makes sense here. But the typical expression is film noir because that's a category of film. So these are movies that, as our description mentions, are pessimistic, they have a lot of fatalism, and they have menace, or they have a really... it's basically a very dark movie. But we use that term to clearly express it. Okay? So, let's look at number 4. I didn't like the plot, but the dialogue or discussion was great. So let's figure out which of those two we would use. So the dialogue is the interaction the characters have with each other in the film. So that's what they actually say. Now, whereas a discussion is just a conversation that you have with someone about a certain topic. So, since it is something that happened in the movie, we would use dialogue. Those are the things that the characters say to one another. Okay? So let's look at number 6 then. That was another important one. This is a low budget or money movie. We have those two options. Let's figure out which one. So, if it's a low money movie, that's pretty broad. It doesn't specify what the money is. Is it low money coming in, meaning not a lot of people are going to watch it? So we don't actually know who doesn't have a lot of money. But when they say budget, they are being clear. They're letting us know that the producers of the film did not have a lot of money to work with. So that's why we typically say this is a low budget movie, meaning they didn't have a lot of money to hire actors, purchase props, and everything they would need to do to produce the film. Okay? So let's look at number 9 then. Many Australian actors can something an American accent very well. Our options are make or do. So if we make an accent, it sounds like we are literally creating it out of raw materials. So that one isn't that great. But when we say do, that's more colloquial, and it's typically how people say or express that people are imitating or they're doing something that doesn't actually mean constructing something physically. So for that reason, the correct answer for that one would be many Australian actors can do an American accent very well. Okay? So for the first quiz on movies, I believe those are the key points that you should have taken away. Now let's head over to the second quiz about personality. Let's take a look at that one. So number 1. Is your neighbor a kind person? No, he is mean and fearless. And here we have to choose the word that has a meaning opposite of the word in italics in the first sentence. So in the first sentence, then we have the word kind. So kind, the opposite of that would be mean, because fearless means that you're not afraid. But when kind, it's about what type of person we are. So if we're not kind, then if we have to be the opposite of that, we have to be mean. Okay? So let's look at number 2. Is Maria quiet? No, she is talkative or practical. So practical is not the correct answer here, because practical just means someone that knows what they have to do, and they're very realistic about what is needed to carry out an action or to complete a task. Whereas talkative is someone that talks a lot. They never stop talking. So the opposite of quiet would be talkative, someone that talks a lot. Okay? So let's look at 3. Is Edward generous? No, he's mean or stingy. So a generous person is someone that gives selflessly. They give things, they give time, and they don't expect it to be returned. So in that case, what is the opposite of generosity? It's not necessarily mean. That would be for question number 1. They're rather stingy. That is how you say that someone doesn't like to give a lot, right? So they're selfish, or in this case, they're stingy. Okay? So number 4, is your sister hardworking? So hardworking is just someone that works hard. It is what it sounds like. So we need to choose the opposite of that. So our options are lazy and talkative. Talkative doesn't have much to do with your work ethic or how hard you work. Instead, it would be lazy. They don't like to work hard. So let's look at number 5 now. Is Phil a polite guy? No, he's unselfish or rude. So polite is someone that has good manners. They treat people respectfully. They do what is correct in social environments. So we can choose unselfish, which is kind of the previous one. It's about generosity. That doesn't apply here. So we are left with rude, and that is correct. So if someone is rude, they are the opposite of polite. Let's look at number 6. Is Victoria brave? So brave is someone who is not afraid. And our options are no, she's timid, lazy. So again, lazy refers to work ethic. This is not about work ethic. This is about courageousness. So in this case, we would choose timid because timid is the opposite of brave. If you are brave, you are not afraid. If you're timid, you are shy or you are easily frightened. Okay? So let's look at number 7. Is Paul's brother dependable? Dependable is someone you can count on, someone that will not let you down. So we have the words conceited and unreliable. Conceited in Spanish would be presumido, someone who is full of themselves and they think very highly of themselves. That doesn't apply here. This is not about what they think of themselves or how they see themselves. This is about how dependable they are. So we're left with unreliable, because if someone is dependable, you can count on them. If they are unreliable, you cannot count on them. Let's look at number 8. Is your grandmother selfish? This one again is going back to the concept of generosity. How giving is that person? How altruistic are they? So the opposite of selfish, we have agitated or altruistic. Which of those two makes sense? So if they're agitated, they're angry, they're irritated. That doesn't really apply here. So we're left with altruistic. That is someone that gives without expecting something to be given back to them, and that would be the opposite of selfish. Now, number 9, second to last one. Is your grandfather a proud man? No, he's humble, practical. So we need to figure out which of those two is the opposite. So if you're proud, you have a lot of pride in yourself, who you stand for, what you stand for, or what you've accomplished, etc. So the opposite of proud, practical, doesn't really apply here because practical is just how you get things done. It would be humble. Humble is someone who, even though they may be very accomplished and very successful, they don't like to show off or they don't like to brag. So humble then would be the opposite of proud, someone who likes to let people know what they've achieved. And then the final question, are your parents lenient? So lenient means that they're very forgiving, they are flexible, they aren't strict. So basically it's the opposite of strict. So that being said, the options that they give us are friendly and strict. It's not, friendliness doesn't enter here. That concept is not what they're talking about. Rather, it's how much do they stick to the rules, or what do they expect you to do? And is it always the same, or are they flexible? So in this case, the opposite of the word lenient would be strict. So those would be the most important things that I would like you to take away from the activities this week. If you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to talk about through email to you or in next week's video, please let me know. With that said, thanks for watching and have a nice day.